Okay, so I am definitely live. Is there a way that I can kind of pin this to my screen? Because right now, the issue is in this. Do I have to, like... Hold on. Wonder if I have to restart my game. Okay. It is at least showing me live. Okay. It is at least showing me live. Okay, that is going to go into a straight up feedback loop if I keep doing that. You can hear all of my clicking, which I don't like, but it's not really anything I can do about it. I don't have my second monitor set up, so I really would like to just be able to overlay the chat. And I'm not even expecting viewers, just on the off chance that someone does show up while I'm just kind of rambling a bit. And realistically, I'm probably not going to do this for, you know, too long, but... You know, it is what it is, right? Okay. I'm not seeing game overlay, and I don't know how to turn it on. Is there like a keybind for it? Hotkey. Toggle in game overlay? Okay, yeah, that's not working. You know what? I'll just open it on my phone. This is going to be the most, like, scuffed way to do this. But I'm just gonna open up Twitch on my phone so that I can just see chat. Again, I'm not even... I am assuming that there won't even be chat, but alas. It'll also, I mean, let me check to make sure that, like, it won't let me check my audio, because, obviously, but it'll at least let me check my video to be working or not. Ugh, I have to update my app. Oh, this is gonna take a hot second. I can confirm that it is at least showing it on the stream, which is good, but I would rather, you know... Okay. I've got my phone hooked up in the most, like, scuffed way imaginable, but this will at least confirm to me that my stream is running. How's the frame rate? The frame rate seems fine. I am going to opt to turn down my render distance just while I'm streaming at least. For context, I use BodyMod to increase my render distance to 32. Server render distance is something like 8, but this is just to, you know. I don't really know what I'm gonna do today. I'm just kind of planning on being here for a little while. Oh, I was working on my house. That's what I was doing. Or not my house, my proper base, because technically this whole thing is my base, but I wanted to get started on a palace, that's the word. And I am definitely not going to do this on stream. This is something that is going to take so much trial and error that I do not feel comfortable doing that for even a potential audience. Even if no one shows up, that is not something I feel comfortable doing. But yeah, I guess I'm just gonna do some very basic stuff, I think. There are so many things in my inventory right now. Jesus Christ. Okay. So I'm gonna just head to bed real quick. Okay. What do I want to do? That's not what I was trying to do. I was trying to take a look at the map. I guess I could work on the ocean monument, but then that requires me getting sand, which wouldn't be the end of the world, because there's the desert up here. I definitely should have picked out what I was going to do on stream before I decided to stream, but it's been a long day, and I kind of just wanted something to do. You know what I mean? Why does my map look like that? Hold on. You know, we'll just explore this, I guess. I swear to God. I also need to be careful because I'm looking at my fucking phone screen. And because the stream is delayed by like 10 seconds or so, it is really throwing me off because I'll like try to control the in-game or the thing that's on my stream, like on my phone. And I can't do that because obviously. There we go. That's why I was confused. Because, yeah, that didn't make any sense. I don't know why the map wasn't updated there, but anyway, here is my farming area. It's got melons and pumpkins and lots of sugarcane and netherwort and a moss farm over here. And a single rabbit. So I was going to try to get a pen, which I still might. You know what? I kind of want to cut this forest down. So you know what? I think that's what I'm going to do. We do also have the timber mod, so this is going to make things a lot easier than you might expect. Like where this would take like a lot longer. Probably doesn't make for good content though, because of the constant stuttering. It was weird. Did you see that? There was like a tree that was on a rock. Oh, I should make a... Ooh. Hold off on the deforestation. I'm actually gonna make something real quick. There's my shears. Jesus. If anyone is watching, which I don't think they are, but on the off chance that someone is, this is obviously modded. It's not too heavily modded. It looks like there's more mods than there actually are, because a lot of them are just kind of quality of life things, to keep us interested, I guess. Because I've done the vanilla SMP thing probably about 100 times. It's an exaggeration, of course, but Minecraft is one of those games that I really, really, really want to have a perfect relationship with. But my relationship with this game is kind of rocky. I hid my interest in this game, like, at all for the first, like, 6 years I was into it, because it was cringe to like Minecraft. Keep in mind, I got into Minecraft tail end of 2014, literally the day before version 1.8 dropped. My very first world was in version 1.7.10, just before 1.8 dropped. And, yeah, it was not considered, like, a cool game then. It kind of missed its peak, but before its renaissance, if that makes sense, right? Because, like, I'd say, like, the golden era of Minecraft, not to, like, quote a fucking community that exists, but the golden age of Minecraft was the alpha and beta era, specifically beta, and like early release. And I'm not talking about this in terms of features. You can have your own opinions on the features of those updates. I know some people are like, you know, the old versions are significantly better. Some people are like, the old versions are old, and the only reason you like them is because of nostalgia. Whatever your opinions are on the older versions, that's not my point when I say that it's the golden age. I mean that it was the golden age in terms of its popularity. It was, you know, it was an indie game developed by one guy for the most part, by just a dude. And it had so much charm to it. The game was very simplistic. It felt like a game that was programmed by just a dude. And so people kind of fell in love with that. People kind of fell in love with the charm. And then, you know, Notch stopped working on the game after release, and there were controversial EULA changes that happened around like 2014. I don't know if anyone really remembers that as much as I do, but I remember 2014 to 2016 was a fucking hellscape for the EULA. I didn't even understand what it was at the time because I was like 12. But I just remember people being so up in arms, server owners, friends that I had being like, oh my god, Mojang is being so greedy with the EULA and yada yada. Couldn't tell you fully why people cared so much. Because arguably, like, nowadays, now that I'm not, you know, 12, I do think that the EULA changes were good, because I think that making servers pay to win is really scummy, and I get it, you need to make money. And I do think that you should be able to make money, but I also think that if your server is pay to win on a game that is already a paid game, like, you're basically employing, like, mobile gaming strategies onto a Minecraft server. And, like, I'm not necessarily saying that that's completely immoral, because obviously these are things that are accessible to the public for free, but the game itself is still a paid game. So to continuously have to pay on top of that, it's kind of... Also, I'm like really trying to figure out like a vine farm design here. Just really kind of trying to wing it. Not that I really need to. It's freaking vines. Vines don't need all that much, to be honest. What was I saying? Something about the Eola. Oh, yeah, bringing, like, mobile marketing strategies to Minecraft, which is already a paid game, and, like, it could have been fine, but I definitely knew some servers kind of manipulated it, and it was, like, fun fact, I actually used to be a moderator on one of these servers that was very pay to win, and I defended it with my life because I was like 14 and these people were giving me attention. I don't know if I already mentioned it because I can't remember what I just said like 2 seconds ago, but I was staff and wasn't a moderator. I only ever made it to helper. I have stuff I could say about that server. I have stuff that I could say about the management of that server that has already been said. To keep things light, all of the people who knew the guy who owned that server have since come out saying that they don't like the guy who owned that server. He was not a very nice guy and definitely he definitely knew that he was running a very shady operation. Like, it was kind of borderline illegal. It was a server that constantly had a sale going on. It was like one of those things like, oh, 95% off sale, ending soon, and then the deadline would come up and the sale would magically extend, or it would be the spring sale, or the summer sale, or the Easter sale, and it would just... It gave you this false sense of urgency that I have since learned is very much, like, not a legal marketing tactic, and could probably get you... I don't know, like, what the punishment would be. I'm not a lawyer. But it could have gotten the server in some, like, hot water if the right people were aware of it, which is just kind of insane to me. Like, what do you mean that server was just allowed to exist for so long? Definitely sketchy. Like, looking back on it, I'm surprised there weren't more sketchy things about it, but yeah, the server was very pay to win, and one of the policies that I obviously enforced at the time, because I was staff, but I have kind of grown to realize like how much I hate it, is there was a policy on there that you weren't allowed to share what they call donator gear. Like, basically, like, if you bought a rank, you weren't allowed to then give your friend, like, the top-ranked pickaxe. And, like, we had, like, a whole collection area for them all, where, like, people would just... we kept, like, case files on anyone who ever gave out donator gear. And it was, like... Some of it was also very, like, gray area, because if you won the donator gear in a PvP match, then you were allowed to keep it, but it was very hard to discern what was and was not obtained in a PvP match, because only the top rank had full, like, keep inventory. The other ranks had, like, a partial keep inventory. So, like, it wasn't impossible for someone low-ranked to kill someone who was higher-ranked and be able to claim the higher-ranked items as, like, a PvP kill. But just... it was so hard to enforce, and it's a rule that made no sense, like, looking back on it. Like, it makes zero sense why that was a rule that was to be enforced. It genuinely... Like, I never realized just how weird of a policy that was for the server. But, anyway, definitely going off on quite a bit of a tangent here. Did I only have exactly enough to... I guess I did. Unless... Oh, no. There's still stuff left over here. Never mind. I might have a little bit of the stupid. Yeah. But... Well, I feel like I'm just kind of rambling and not really telling a cohesive story. So, where was I? Yeah. I was a helper on the server and had really scummy practices. How did I get here? I know I was talking about the EULA. Why the hell... Why on earth was I talking about the EULA? I genuinely can't remember. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. It's completely lost. Oh yeah, Golden Age of Minecraft, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, that era, point that I'm making, very long and convoluted point that took a lot of twists and turns to get here, but point that I was making is that I got into Minecraft during that period. It was during the period where basically the only reason the game was still alive was because of these servers that offered different playstyles for this game. You know, we had people who, you had servers that had large, like massive player bases of Skyblock players, of prison players, of creative players, people who really enjoyed kit PvP or factions or stuff like that. That was what was keeping the game alive, were these mini-games that a lot of people played on these public pay-to-win servers. So, you know, when Mojang started to target them, it left kind of a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, I remember. Excuse me. Kind of leading to a Dark Ages, almost, of the game. It's gonna be very annoying waiting for all of this, by the way. During that Dark Ages was kind of when I really started playing, and then I remember I was so excited for the 1.9 snapshots, and I think it was 15W34B? I know it wasn't an A snapshot, because I don't just have this information on hand, by the way. I was looking this up earlier. I don't just know the exact snapshot that this was added. I knew it was in 2015, I just couldn't remember what week. But I did look it up today, and it wasn't in an A snapshot. It was in a B snapshot, which is very strange that this was in a B snapshot, because I feel like it being a B snapshot, you wouldn't think that it would add any features. Anyway, god damn, I am going on such a tangent. Yeah, 15W30-something, 30-something B added the attack cooldown, and people were furious. Oh my god. I remember how absolutely pissed off it made the entire community. I remember I wasn't a huge fan of it at the time. I actually was a PvPer back then, which is kind of insane now. I haven't done a PvP match, like a genuine competitive PvP match in years. Yeah. Anyway, really getting distracted. Yeah, so I used to do PvP a lot, and I remember, like, that community specifically got really, really mad at the PvP changes. I don't like this. I might take this down and just... not take it down, but I might just, like, move this back one block, because I'm realizing that it's not centered. Yeah, people just got so mad, and then I remember the entire game just was kind of in a rut for a while. 2016, end of 2016, I stopped playing because I just simply didn't want to. I was, I was going into high school. I was, like, high schoolers don't play that kids game. And here I am at the ripe age of 22 and still playing this game. But at the time I was like, high schoolers don't play this game, that's a baby game. So I kind of, like, fell out of love with it because it was very cringe to like. And in secret, I would still play it on occasion or watch the occasional Minecraft video. And, like, I say in secret, I genuinely mean it. It was in secret because I had YouTube on my TV and my friend would often come over and we'd watch videos together, and if he saw a Minecraft video in my, like, recommended, he'd be like, oh my god, like, why are you watching a Minecraft video? That makes it sound like he is, like, a lot ruder. He was a little rude, for that, but he was also 15, maybe 16, and we're still best friends, by the way, so this isn't, like, someone that I'm talking about that I'm just like, oh my god, like, I hated this person. No, I love this person. We are still friends to this day, so clearly they did something right. But yeah, my point with that is I would play the game in secret, just kind of trying to just... god damn it. Yeah, I'd play the game in secret, watch videos about it in secret, and then I remember my boyfriend at the time, this is one of those people that I don't like anymore, and that I'm gonna just not talk too much about him, but he played a little bit of Minecraft, and I remember that was how I played the update Aquatic for the first time, was with my boyfriends. I remember we built a little underwater base because it was the first time that we could do that, but we never really got far enough to properly take advantage of 1.13's new features. I casually played through like 1.14 when that came out. It was a genuine... I loved 1.14. It was such a good update. When 1.15 came out, I actually really loved Buzzy Bees. I think the bees are some of the cutest additions to the game. And in literally every single world, or every SMP, rather, not just world, but in every SMP that I've ever been on, I have made it a point to have a bee farm. In the very first SMP I was a part of, it was barely an SMP, it was just a realm of like 15 people. Some from my past, some brand new that I'd never met before. I remember I had the world's most inefficient bee farm, but I had so much fun with it. I had a texture pack that changed all of the bees to different pride flags, and it was such a fun time. And you also have to understand, this was right before, it was either right before or right after the Nether update. I think it was right after, actually, because it was summer 2020 that I like properly started playing around with bees. Yeah, it was so much fun, honestly. And I say that genuinely. But it was so much fun making the bee farm. And it's like a core memory almost that's just kind of stuck with me to this day. I forgot we have a data pack that makes trapdoors do this. I don't know if I like that. But you know what? I think I know what I can do with this. I should note, by the way, that I'm extremely tired because it has been a very long day. Why do I only have 49? I should have an even... Oh, it's because I placed one over here. I was like, I should have an even number. I've only placed down an even number of trapdoors, and it crafts in even numbers. No, it's over here. But yeah, so loved. Loved the beats. Yeah, and then that was when I got back into Minecraft, was like 2020. I think a lot of people kind of got back into Minecraft around that time, because what the hell else were we gonna do? We were all stuck inside and kind of bored. And I really do hold nostalgia for that time, as insane as that sounds. Like, oh, you feel nostalgic for the time the entire fucking world shut down? And yes, I honestly do. Hold on. I honestly do feel nostalgic for that time, because why wouldn't you feel nostalgic? Like, maybe if you were older, sure, but my teens were still my teens. My young adulthood is still my young adulthood. I was fresh out of high school. Fresh out of high school in a world that I didn't know how to cope with. Of course, I was young and naive and ended up growing to be nostalgic for it, because it's when everything felt kind of normal to me. I've never been good at social interactions, so social distancing came easy. I wasn't going to parties every night anyway, so it wasn't like, oh, you have to stop interacting with all of these people, you have to stop going to parties, you have to make sacrifices in your social routine. I didn't have a social routine to give up. The only thing that I really did was I went out shopping, and I went to school. And when I graduated school, there was no sense in me going to school, obviously. And I do kind of regret it. When I look back, like, I took a gap year, big air quotes around the word gap year there. I took a gap year that ended up turning into 4 years. I am back in school now, and I genuinely do enjoy it, and I truly, truly wish that I had been in school all that time ago. But also, I do acknowledge that, like, if I had gone back to school in COVID, if I had gone back to school in 2020, 2021, I would not have had the same resolve that I have now. I've gained a lot of appreciation for academics as a whole, where, you know, back when I was in high school, I was good. I was a good student, but I was a good student out of just, it was what I knew how to do. I had no passion for any of it. You know, I was a math whiz, so I had basically planned a life around having a career in math because math made sense to me. Numbers have always made sense to me. Numbers are probably the thing in this world that make the most sense. But they weren't the thing that I was the most passionate about. Which was one of the most difficult things to kind of come to terms with. The thing that I'm good at isn't what I'm most passionate about. And the thing that I'm the most passionate about, I'm not very good at. I've gotten better over the years, but I'm being very mysterious for no real reason. The thing that I'm good at is math. The thing that I have a passion for is history. Shut up, Demi. Your your industrial area did not look like this. Your industrial area was more industrial. Also, I thought I turned off the sound when chats come through. I have no idea how to change that. Okay, so now this is scary. Anyway. No, yours was way more automatic. Or maybe, did it go off because you were a first-time chatter? That might honestly be it. Yours was more automatic. This is a lot more, like, manual. I'm also just kind of over here mostly because I'm needing something to do while I ramble. Nope, it wasn't because you were a first-time chatter. That sound is still going off, and I don't know how to turn it off, but I guess I'm just gonna have to deal with it for now. I mean, you have an ocean here. I feel like you can find a place to put your farms in the ocean. You also have an ocean monument, like, right next to your base, which I'm genuinely so jealous about, because the ocean monument that I ended up claiming for myself is all the way over here, which is so far from my main base, and it makes me homicidal. That's a joke. But, yeah. No. Over here, I'm just kind of trying to have an area where I can farm more, like, consistently, because the issue with back home is that it is kind of, like, it's hard to keep it in theme, right? And I don't fully care about theme. That was kind of one of the biggest things that I tried to do in the last... Oh, it's a butterfly. I was like, what the hell is that? But yeah, that was one of the things from the last world, the last server, that I was really trying to avoid. Nope, I'm talking myself in circles. Restart that sentence. The thing from last season, the last world, that I wanted to avoid with this world was really sticking myself to a theme. It didn't fully burn me out, because if it fully burnt me out, I wouldn't be playing right now. It didn't burn me out as much as an SMP base. Well, those 4 viewers, you have to understand, one of them is me on my computer, one of them is me on my phone, and then one of them is you. So, it's not that impressive. Yeah, last world I tried to do that, like, whatchamacallit? I tried to do the, like, mystical kind of theme. You know, I did, like, the mushroom and everything like that. And it didn't work. It's not me to kind of keep to a theme. It's really difficult for me to keep to a theme because that's just not how I like to build. But this I am trying to keep. Yeah. I am trying to keep somewhat of a theme here. This is my this is my like palace that I'm gonna build, and every single time that I say, like, every time I talk about this palace, like, kind of to myself, because I haven't really mentioned it to anyone, the only thing that plays in my head is the part in Odysseus from Epic the Musical, where Odysseus, surprisingly, says, "You don't think I know my own palace? I built it." So that's like all that I've been thinking of this entire time that I've been building this. I'm trying to figure out. See, why does it do this? It keeps not updating. Like, it keeps unupdating my map, which is kind of strange. Anyway, yeah, the wiki. Do I want to move my carrot and pumpkin farm, or not carrot, or pumpkin, potato. Do I want to move this farm over there? I genuinely might, because... yeah, I feel like it would make the most sense to put that farm over there. It means I can make it bigger, too. Yeah, God, okay, I need to put all this shite away. In theory, I should just be able to remove these and it'll all turn back into dirt, but theory is not reality. Fun fact. Yeah. I'm probably going to be streaming for another, like, 20 minutes or so. Genuinely probably not long. Yeah. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. But... oh, I needed grass. That was what I was doing. So I wanted to fill this in. I'll deal with that after. Okay, so off I go to my farming area. Okay. I don't... okay, yeah, I don't think it shows my other screens, which is good, because I don't want it to show my other screens. Yeah, like, this keeps not appearing. Is it, like, a different chunk? That's not the right thing that I was trying to do. Chunk borders. It's not even really a different chunk! It's literally just past here. It doesn't want to render it for some freaking reason. Why do I keep doing hitboxes? That's not what I'm intending on doing. gonna flatten this probably a bit. I am also just this is a lot louder than I thought it was. I'm gonna just turn this down. 'Cause every time I do that, it's been just destroying my eardrums. Which, you know, not a fun thing when I'm trying to talk to myself. That is basically what this is. I know that, like, no one's watching, or if anyone is, it's just Demi. But I do at least want to try, because I plan on, like, archiving this to, like, an unlisted video on my YouTube channel, because then, in, like, a couple years, I can come back and be like, oh my god, remember when I was working on this thing? Just kind of for myself. It was one of the pieces of advice that a YouTuber that I was watching gave when talking about, like, how do you keep remaining interested in Minecraft, which is obviously something that I do need quite a lot. Like, I'm playing with quite a few mods to keep me interested. One of the things that they said as like a tip was to record yourself. Even if you don't post it to YouTube or stream or anything, having a archive of just, you know, things that you have done, having a physical, or I guess in this case, digital, like having video proof of the things that you've done, of the conversations you've had, it's monumental in being able to see progress, to be able to maintain that kind of, like, interest in the game. And, like, that's genuinely one of the biggest tips that I've, like, always been told. Like, I'm talking, like, always been told, is to share my work, right? How do you get better at building? Share. How do you get better at art? Share. How do you get better at writing? Share. That's basically just the answer to all creative media. Like, you're going to be more inclined to finish something, first of all, if you're sharing it with someone else. You're going to be more inclined to be proud of it if you're showing it to someone else. You're more inclined to just, in general, enjoy something if you're sharing it with someone else. Even if it's just something as simple as, hey, friend, you want to see something I built in Minecraft? Like, it's that little connection, that little piece of vulnerability really does contribute to the passion that is associated with games like these, right? Because Minecraft is one of those games that people tend to get very passionate about, and that's not a negative. That's actually the complete opposite. It's actually a very, very big positive for the game. This is a game that people love. Like, people love this game. So much so that there are people out there who have dedicated their entire lives to this game. And it is genuinely life-changing for a lot of people. I don't think... Minecraft is not my favorite game, not by any means. I would say that title probably goes to Portal 2, which is just such a good game. Like, genuinely such a good game. But, you know, Portal aside, do I want to do, like, beetroot? Not really. I'm thinking I just do, like, a big thing for carrots and a big thing for potatoes, because those are the two that I'm gonna need in larger quantities because of villager trading, and I guess I need the other two in large quantities also for the same reason, also for villager trading. But I don't like beetroot. I don't like them. I don't like it. It gives me bad vibes. Yeah. Passion, sharing your creative. Yeah. So when you share something creative that you did, it is genuinely so... Your passion can incite passion in someone else. I've definitely seen that before. I've talked to friends who weren't really into Minecraft, but I just share progress updates of, hey guys, this is what I'm doing in my Better Than Adventure world, or hey, this is what I'm doing in my survival world, or this is what I've been doing on the fucking Xbox 360 edition. Like, I just share what I do a lot. And it really does help my friends, at least from what I've seen, also develop an interest in returning to Minecraft. That's basically why this SMP exists, is because people, yeah, people wanted a chance to play together because something happened and they now have reinvigorated that passion for the game. And that is such a huge thing, genuinely. Like, seeing people have passion for this game is so... I guess the really convoluted point that I'm trying to get at here is that I just think this game is really neat. And I think the impact that it's had on society is really neat. And I personally am grateful for this game. And I'm sure that there are thousands of other people who feel the same way. Who this is just such an important game to them in so many ways. It's not my favorite. It's not even the most important. I actually wrote an entire piece on that, on what the most important game was. And it is structured like a video essay, and I could theoretically, like, you know, change up the script a little bit with some of my newer writing abilities. And definitely like try to learn video editing and put it together in a video, but that's scary. I kind of wanted to try streaming first because it was less scary than, you know, making an edited video, because no one's gonna see my content for a while, right? Like that's how YouTube and Twitch works. This is content that people are most likely just going to find on accident and click off of within a few minutes, which, hey, I'm not trying to make a career out of this. I don't care. This probably isn't that entertaining either. It's literally just... It's... In a weird way, I'm more so streaming for myself than I am for anyone else, you know? If someone else happens to enjoy it, if someone else happens to find it and latch onto it, I think that's great, but that's not what I'm doing this for. I'm not doing this because I want to make content that people will enjoy. I'm not doing this because I want to become a content creator. I'm doing this because I had a rough day and I want an ability to just talk without someone talking back, which is a very strange thing to say. And obviously there are still people who are gonna talk back. There's the occasional person who pops into the chat or a friend or something like that, there are people who are going to talk to me, and that's fine. You know, I am saying that I want to talk without people talking back, more so in a playful way. But, you know, after today, it is kind of just nice to talk about what's on my mind, not even necessarily in like a therapy way, not in like a, hey guys, this is the problem that I'm facing. I don't really need to talk to people about my problems. I have a therapist for that reason. Whenever I do like talk about problems with people, it's mostly out of bonding, rather than out of a genuine need for help, which is a very interesting concept to try to explain. Because 2, 3, 4. Was that? It was, yes. Yeah, I don't really talk to people about my problems out of a I need you to fix my problem kind of way. I talk to people about my problems out of a I want to bond with you, and bonding with you, the easiest way to do so is to be vulnerable. Because nothing bonds people more than vulnerability, for better or for worse. And that's really difficult. It is really difficult to be vulnerable with people. Especially when you have no idea, like, how they're gonna react. So, for me, if I'm vulnerable first, I do that as a way to convince people that they are allowed to be vulnerable around me, in a way. It's also just, I'm not very secretive about my trauma, or my negative experiences, with very few exceptions, because I've never really found it embarrassing, and maybe that's just the way that I happened to be raised surrounding mental health, but I've never considered mental health to be an embarrassing thing. I've never thought of, oh my god, you had this traumatic event happen to you and now you have panic attacks every time you see something related to the traumatic event. How wimpy of you. No, that's very normal. It is so normal for people to struggle, and I've always known it, that people struggle. Like, it's something that has been ingrained in my head since I was a child, that people just struggle. And knowing that, like, as strange as it is, it made me not that, like, ashamed of my own mental health problems, because so many people have them, right? Like, depression and anxiety are some of the most prevalent mental disorders. I don't know the exact statistics off the top of my head, but I know there are a lot of people in the United States alone with diagnosed depression or anxiety. And a lot of that, I feel like we've seen amplified, like, in media or what have you. You know, we've seen a lot more media kind of discuss mental health in a way. There's, like, plenty of examples that I can probably point to, but, like, I feel like my generation, the generation that I know, we grew up kind of projecting ourselves on the internet. I remember kind of the Wild West social media almost, but not quite. When like social media was not in its infancy, but still trying to find its footing. I used to run a few Instagram accounts that would just post really edgy, quote-unquote, relatable images, and a lot of them would just be, like, really depressing quotes on a generic black and white background. Bonus points if that background included, like, a picture of, like, a girl crying or something like that. That was just the meta back then. Like, that was just... People just talked about their mental health stuff. It was... Maybe it was just the circles that I was in. Maybe it's not like that for everyone else, and maybe I was just really mentally ill and had a very abnormal childhood. But, like, I don't think that that's the case. I know a lot of people who kind of experience the same thing, who, you know, they spent most of their younger years kind of being constantly surrounded by mental health information. They were constantly being told, like, it's okay to not be okay, kind of thing. It's okay to have a breakdown every once in a while. People were just okay with it. There were obviously the people who didn't fully understand it and who would be like, oh, well, you know, can't you just stop crying? Or if you're anxious about it, just don't be nervous, kind of thing. Like, it's a lot of people who are lucky enough to never have experienced what genuine depression or anxiety feels like, so they think that it's a lot easier to manage than it actually is. But for the most part, like, I don't know, I feel like me and my peers got a lot of education on mental health from such a young age, that it's normal. It's just normal for us to talk about it. Like, but yeah, so, like, maybe when I was, like, 15, 16, I wanted people to fix my problems, even if just in a subconscious way. I don't really need that anymore. I don't tell people my problems because I want them to fix it. I tell them my problems because I want them to know that I have problems too. And that because I also have problems, that I understand that sometimes they have problems. Like, it maybe doesn't read the same for everyone, but it's just to allow people to feel comfortable being vulnerable. I think the best way is to be vulnerable yourself, even if just in a little way. For example, with therapists, I've always bonded better with therapists who put a little bit of emotion into their work. Obviously, I'm not going to be my therapist's therapist or anything, but I loved when I would... Like, some of my favorite therapists are the ones where I'll tell them a story of something that happened, and they're like, yeah, you know, when I was in college, I had a similar experience, kind of thing, and then going into the therapy stuff. Those anecdotes just made it so much more impactful for me. I cared more about what my therapist had to say when I knew that she wasn't just reading from a book. And just a part of that is just learning to be vulnerable with people. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm definitely talking in circles, and it is midnight, and I should probably go to bed sometime soon. But I at least want to just get some of this finished. Or at least like plotted too. So like this will be the carrot and potato field. We'll probably cut further into the forest too. I do want to make like a flower farm of sorts, but I don't know. Definitely lost whatever the hell I was talking about, but you know, that's fine. You know, it is what it is, right? Yeah, I really should go to bed. But this honestly has been kind of a fun experience, you know? I don't know if I'll ever do this again. I might, because it has honestly been quite fun, just like talking. And maybe I could stream, you know, some other stuff, maybe like other games that I play. But I think for the most part, I want to just stream Minecraft. I have an idea for, I guess, a quote-unquote series that I want to do, which is I want to do a Minecraft world, like a Minecraft survival, but every time I play on the world, I have to be live or recording in some way, so that everything is documented. And it's funny because that is a concept I would hate to watch as a viewer, which is part of the reason why I don't want to do it. If you guys remember back in like 2020, give or take, like late 2019, early 2020, there was an SMP called SMP Live. This predated like Dream SMP and whatnot. But there was an SMP called SMP Live, and it was exactly that. It was every time you were on the server, you had to be live streaming. And I hated it as a viewer, because I don't actually like live streams. I don't watch live streams. I am generally of the proponent that live streamed content is not the most taxing or impressive. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely people who are better at it than others. I think the people who are able to show so much of their personality live and like never falter, and you don't really see them like struggle to keep up a facade, I think those people are very impressive. And I do think that their people skills are very high. But I generally don't think the content produced from streaming is of a high quality. And like, again, there are different types of live streams. Like this, for example, this entire live stream, this whole time that I've been talking, this is a lazy video. If I were to publish this on YouTube, this would be a horrible, horrible YouTube video. I'm talking in circles. I've talked about like 20 different topics this entire friggin' stream. This would be a terrible video. There's nothing that I could title this. There's nothing cohesive about it. This would be a terrible video, which is why I hated the concept of SMP Live and I never really got into it. But I think for me, knowing that I do enjoy streaming mostly just for me, just so that I can have a space to talk, I think that is something that I might do. But I don't know, you know, because like, it's not something that I find enjoyable to watch, so why would I want to make it? But I'm not making it with anyone watching in mind. It's more so that if someone finds the content interesting, then I am grateful that they find it interesting. But if it's only ever watched by me 5 years from now, then I'm also okay with that. And if for some reason me from 5 years from now is watching this, hi, I guess. I have no clue where I'm going to be in 5 years. I'm not going to be the one who's going to be like, yeah, in 5 years I'll be doing this, I'll have graduated college, or I'll like be doing this, or I'll be doing that. I don't know. I have no damn clue what the next 5 years are going to hold. Because the last 5 years have been some of the most unpredictable 5 years of my life. Nothing has made sense in the past 5 years. So I have no reason to believe that the next 5 years are going to make any more sense. But if for some reason I am watching this in 2030, which, side note, kind of insane, still not used to the calendar saying 2, let alone adding a 3 into the mix. But I don't know, it just... If I am watching this in 5 years, I hope you're still alive. That's really all I can say. Because that's really all I can do. And I think I've made the mistake in the past of, I guess, putting too much pressure on myself, where I made all these plans, and all of my plans kind of fell through, not because of something I did, but because the world shut down. And cutting myself some slack, allowing myself to be okay with the fact that, yeah, I made some poor decisions, but I was also kind of thrust into adulthood unexpectedly and expected to adapt to a world where no one else was able to adapt easily. Like, it's so difficult to conceptualize. Like, I have no idea how to explain it to the next generation, those who did not grow up during COVID, but COVID was strange. COVID was... Hi Taylor. COVID was a very, very strange time for so many reasons. Like, ignoring the actual, like, virus part of it. So much just changed so quickly. The very, very quick adoption of, like, these contactless services, like, order pickup, curbside pickup for, like, retail orders and stuff like that. Like, sure, they weren't invented for COVID, but they became a lot more popular because they weren't face-to-face, so they were, like, within, COVID guidelines. But I don't know, like, no one could have realistically predicted it. No one could have realistically predicted how COVID would have affected us. And in that same vein, I cannot predict what the next 5 years will look like. I can make assumptions, and I can have hopes. I can assume that I'm probably going to graduate not high school. Graduated high school 5 years ago. I can assume that I'm going to graduate college. I can assume that I'm going to get my degree. I can assume that I'm going to stick with the major that I have picked out right now. I can assume that I'm going to stick with that same career path 5 years from now. But I don't know. I have no way of knowing until the next 5 years pass. So I think learning from my mistake and being able to just say, you know what, I hope that in 5 years, if I'm listening back to this, I hope I'm just alive. And I hope that my life is going. I don't want to have any higher expectations, I guess, is the very long and convoluted point that I'm making. But, yeah. That being said, kind of want to just finish these up, and then once I get enough carrots, potatoes, and vines, I think that's where I'm going to end this stream. But it has honestly been quite fun, just, like, you know, talking kind of to myself. I realize, like, that's basically what this is. Streaming is talking to yourself and pretending like you're not a little insane for it. And I honestly kind of love that. I kind of love that there's just a whole thing that you can do just because, right? Like, you could just... You could just talk, and that's considered a normal thing. Like, no one has been here. No one has been prompting these conversations. I'm just thinking of the first thing that comes to mind that I want to talk about, and I'm talking about it. But anyway. Really, really long tangent aside. I do think I'm going to do this more. I'm not going to stick to a schedule yet. There's no real reason for me to stick to a schedule when the whole point of this is to kind of just allow myself to do this how I want to. So, like, forcing myself to stick to a schedule doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I am gonna just kind of try where I have a lot on my mind. If I'm just like, man, would love just an outlet to let my feelings go for a second. That's not necessarily therapy. I do think this is going to be an option that I'm going to do in the future. Because this is genuinely a lot more beneficial than I would have thought. Have I finished this yet? No, not yet. Gone through so much of my shears durability today. Taylor, I have no idea if you're still here, by the way. I would not blame you if you just up and dipped after I just kind of went on a tangent about how I kind of like talking to myself. But, you know, if you are still here, hi. Yeah. Minecraft is such an interesting game for this reason. Like, there aren't very many games that I feel like have had this long-lasting of an impact on me. I've been playing this game for 11 years now. Well, it'll be 11 years in September. And I'm only 22. By, you know, a couple years down the line, I will have been playing this game for more than half my life, which is just absolutely insane to both say and think. Because, like, that's genuinely kind of crazy. Just how much of an impact this game has on me. And I'm sure there's other people with the same thing. Plenty of other people who... I used the wrong pickaxe. Is that why I haven't been getting the good drops? It's because I've been using my Silk Touch pickaxe to try to fortune friggin' potatoes. I also just have no idea. We have a mod on the server that, like, when things are fully grown, you can just click it and it harvests it. I don't know if the fortune effect from my pickaxe will apply. I mean, I guess I can try here. So 23, should be about 26 at most. 28, 32, 36, 42, 46. Okay, yeah, no, the fortune effect definitely does help. Good to know. Ooh, 7, yeah, definitely it works. And with a fitting conclusion to a long day, I need 2 more potatoes. That's wonderful. God, I can feel the tiredness start to set in. I am very exhausted. But with that being said, yeah, I want to thank you very much for watching and for keeping me company for the last, how long has it been? Hour and 20 minutes. And by keeping me company, I'm mainly just talking to myself, but yeah. I guess I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Bye-bye.